So many customers make a choice based on a price point, and it could be the wrong solution. And now how much money have you spent in human cost in deploying that wrong solution that now you have to go reevaluate and redeploy something else? It's nice to be able to look at the whole picture and have customers say, here's some of the areas to improve. But they can throw out one pain and go, yeah, we can handle that. And then we can just keep going and keep solving. Welcome to Symplicity Conversations, where we explore the intersection of business, leadership, community, and technology. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Erin Stewart, Senior Director of Sales at Symplicity. Erin will share her journey to Symplicity, her leadership approach, and her vision for sales success. But first, let's talk about our Symplicity Insight. This is our famous quote of the day, and from one of my famous persons, Simon Sinek. I love Simon Sinek's books. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Love, love, love that, especially with what you're going to be doing at Symplicity. You know, you really are taking kind of people under your wing, and I love that. But be sure to subscribe to Symplicity Conversations so you never miss an episode with thought leaders shaping the future of business and leadership. So, Erin, this is your second time on the podcast.
Sure is.
So happy to have you here, though, as a Symplicity employee. How lucky are we?
I think it's a mutual feeling at this point. So very excited.
So you started as the Senior Director of Sales at Symplicity in mid-June. What's it been like so far?
Wow, when time flies when you're having fun, right? It's been a journey already. And I think for me, the only constant in life is change. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that I can still work with customers in an environment where things are challenging me every day to learn and grow in ways that bring new opportunities to not just me, but to those around me. So I've just been really soaking it all in and been thrilled to be able to learn and exercise some parts of my brain that haven't been working in a while.
You know, it's interesting because it's a big jump going from a vendor to an agent side because we can sell everything versus in a particular vendor, you have that product set. So how has that been? Has that been overwhelming to think about, I could sell so much more than just CX and automation, right?
Yeah, for me, that was, I think, one of the main reasons why I joined the team is for my 15 years in solving challenges for customers. It's been with a toolkit that isn't limited, but it does have guardrails around it. Right. And so I have a lot of partners and friends in the space who come to me and say, hey, this is keeping me up at night, and I'm challenged with being able to always solve those problems myself. And I do take a lot of pride in being able to be a trusted advisor to those I work with. And so to be in a position now where when someone calls me and says like, hey, Erin, I'd love your opinion on something. This is challenging for me. I can come at it with an infinite number of options in my toolkit to solve that challenge in a way that drives value for the customer. And I think that has been not overwhelming, but it has been exciting in a way that allows me to deliver value in a whole new way.
Yeah, I love that. And I love your approach. You solve problems, and I've always had customers say that to me, that, boy, you just solve problems, right? I think Brittany just recently solved a $34,000 problem for a customer because she stayed involved and she documented her time and she made it happen. And it takes a lot of perseverance. And I see you going into, some of your, these new prospects that we're getting into and going, hey, just tell me one of the pains and let me solve that. And I just love that approach.
Well, thank you. I think I know that I never considered myself a nerd, but I do say that I nerd out now on solving people's challenges. And it's really exciting to me for someone to bring something to me that says like, hey, this one's really tough. And that's something that, I will raise my hand up and say, give me 2 of those.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your early impressions of the team, the culture, and I know the office has kind of made an impression.
It has. I was actually talking to my daughter about this last night. I haven't worked in an office in over a decade. And from those of us out there who have worked from home and live in that lifestyle, and for myself, even traveling sometimes 3 days a week consistently on the road, that is a lifestyle that I learned and grew so much in and wouldn't change it for a moment. But I'm really enjoying being able to come into an office where there's a community, not just at the office and with those people, but around us in the heart of the city, where there's always something going on. And it's really been able to bring a whole new sense of productivity from a way of not just in my professional life, but in my personal life, being able to have a community that I haven't ever had before. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are cringing and say, no, don't send us all back to work. And that's not what I'm suggesting. But I am suggesting that there is value in having a space to go and talk with others who face to face, who like to talk about the same things as you do and challenge you in ways that maybe you're not getting today. So if that's not in your work life, like in an office, find a networking group, find something in your local area where you can fill that cup, because it has made a difference for me.
Well, and that was one of the reasons I moved into this space when it was offered to me, is because I saw that vision of having us host clients or prospects or community partners. And we recently had a United Way event at our office to do a fundraiser for feminine hygiene. It's an amazing initiative.
Sure is.
And they were so excited to be there, and they've already said, can we do it here next year? I'm like, absolutely. And I love that, because it puts us relationship first.
That's right.
There'll be opportunities for us to meet, prospects that we can help and solve problems, but we're doing it through creating connections and relationships. And I love that. I love that that's what you're about too.
Yeah, it really is. And it's all the stars align in those ways where, I know when I go to purchase something, a service, a product, and bring it into my life, I'm not only considering the value and the fit of those things, but I'm also looking at who's behind it and what that brand is and what's important to them and those types of things. And so I'm sure that as businesses in our local area and across the country are looking at, who should I be trusting with helping make important decisions about where to spend my money, looking at the culture and the background and what matters to you and to Symplicity and to the people here is part of a buying process.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud to be part of an organization that checks all those boxes and walks the walk and talks the talk.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about any surprises, good or challenging, that came up during your transition.
Yeah, it's funny you said any surprises, good or challenging, and I immediately moved my hair like a nervous habit or something. I was like, oh, that's good to be caught on camera. That's a good one. Challenging and exciting all at the same time, right? When you come into a new organization, it's, to your point, learning the products, the suppliers, the vision, the fit, the culture, the people, what they like, what they don't like, what the customers like, what the customers don't like. So I think the biggest challenge was being able to take it all in as fast as it comes. And so I feel like really good at listening and observing. And I've done a lot of interviews and collaboration with the team members to find out what's working for them and what's not, and tried to really then put things on the table for them that help them so that we can be in a position to grow together. So I think the biggest challenge was taking it all in 30 days where we are today, 30 business days. Right. And I think the most exciting thing is the amount of opportunity that we have to add value to people's lives, whether that be professional or personal in the community. There are so many ways that we're going to be able to help people. And that is overwhelmingly exciting to me.
Yeah. And I love the support we have, like Intellisys. I mean, we had Intellisys come into town.
That's right.
We had a lot of time to talk about bringing you up to speed, and, when we were doing our podcasts. And I think that I feel so supported of, what our goals are for the company. And, we've got great service providers that are standing up saying, how can I help? What can I do to make, Erin successful? So, and you and Nick are working pretty close together. He's just a rock star.
It's funny. You introduced him that way a few times, and now I have. And he's like, you and Catherine always do that to me. I'll look at the camera when I say that for Nick. But he's a rock star, and always, not just from his musical talents, but his openness to want to learn and grow. And I think we have that in common, where I'm always looking for that next opportunity to be better in some way. And I really see that in him as well. And I appreciate it.
Well, and I think that you and Nick are tasked with the responsibility of growing commercial, our new sales, bringing on new logos. And Brittany and I kind of tackle the existing client base with a little help from you when that makes sense. But
that's right.
But that's really an important role. And I invested in you, not just because of you, but because of Nick and being able to come in and help. And we've just seen him flourish in these last 30 days as well. It's crazy. He's been with me a year. And so I'm very excited about the team that you're creating. Let's talk a little bit about your leadership philosophy. How does that show up as you lead Nick and the sales team?
So I tried to lead in ways that I like others to lead me. And that's, with the ability to create their own path and their own goals. And for me to give them every single opportunity to knock them down and support them every step along the way. And so I have found that in opportunities where other leaders have said, the table is yours, and how do you want to build this, and what are your goals here, that I become accountable for that in a way that is leveled up because it's mine. Yeah. And then I'm looking to my leadership team to tell me, hey, what can I do to help you get there and act as a supporter? And so I really try to do that for my team as well. And I am happy to say that those who've worked with me and for me in the past, I've been able to thrive and grow in other ways. And as you know, as a leader, that's why we're here. And so, like we were talking about with Nick, one of the things that I talked with him first about is like, what is most important to you, in the next 90 days and in the next year? And what are the goals that'll help you get there? And then once we had those in place, we had some reflective conversations. I said, what has changed for you? And he's, one of the things that we talked about was just the clarity, right? Like the clearer our goals are, the clearer our path can be to get there. And we know how to support each other and be this, collaborative team. So I feel like that's one of my strengths, is being able to listen well and be a great supporter and cheerleader. Yeah,
I definitely can say that. And that is our word this year as a company, is clarity, in everything we're going through, and identifying, job descriptions and roles and responsibilities, KPIs associated, and those all roll up to the corporate goals. And I think it's really important to make sure we're all swimming in the right direction.
Yep.
So how do you help the team stay focused and motivated through the change or ambiguity that kind of happens in natural? I mean, sales and trying to get appointments with new prospects, that's not an easy feat. So it's hard to keep, positive when you're getting a lot of no's. So thoughts on that?
Well, I'm proud to say that's where I started. So I started as a BDR setting appointments for salespeople in Indianapolis, Indiana at Interactive Intelligence. And one of the most proud moments I have today is when I get to be on the phone with one of those sales reps that I set appointments for and talk about the journeys that we've both had. And so I remember dialing for dollars and making marks on the calendar next to me on how many calls I've made. And So I think, to keep the excitement up when we're in this environment of trying to find opportunities to add value to people when they have 100 other people knocking at their door and sending them emails and meeting them at events. I have really tried to give them the opportunity here with the team that we're building to go a little bit deeper into the companies that we're trying to connect with, so that there's a little bit more connection between those conversations and intent, so that maybe I'm not as nervous to reach out, and that person, when they do answer, we have something more collaborative to talk about that results in a different type of conversation. So I think focus comes with being confident and the opportunity to be held accountable. And so I think that all of those things about kind of like listening, creating your own plan and your own goals and being supported, there is the accountability piece that we've talked about, like trust but verify. And just like I would want someone to do for me and keep me on track and give me opportunities to get better, because complacency only allows us to stop growing.
Right. And it's important to have clarity and have people show, here's where I am, good, bad, or ugly. And because if you're hiding it, it's going to come out eventually. And I think that, we've wanted a CX and automation practice for a number of years. And I feel like we've done a lot of individual steps towards that. But this is the first time that we're having really a holistic plan with your background in that space. I mean, you started in that space, and you've evolved through that. So you bring some real talent to the conversations that is critical for clients right now. So maybe we can talk a little bit about, your CX and automation background and how you see that being used with both existing clients and prospects.
I was going to say, I think, but I'll rephrase and say, I know that you and your team have done an amazing job at delivering telephony and connectivity and TIM solutions, budget management, saving people thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, like Brittany just did the other day on their investments. And a lot of those conversations are happening on the IT and the procurement side of the house, whereas a lot of the conversations that I've been having in the past decade or so lie in kind of the customer care, contact center, operations side of the house. And so it's been really interesting to me to be able to come into a position where I can start to learn about challenges that the clients are having, that the IT team has tools to solve. But operationally, we need to bring those conversations together, right? And so that's kind of been I think a differentiator that Symplicity can offer to clients, is that we have a strong practice on the IT side and a very strong practice on the operations side. And in my experience, AI, automation, CX projects do not end well unless you have both of those sides talking well together with measurements to measure them by and a way to make it better over time. And so the good news is there are products out there in analytics, as we both know, that can automate a lot of this, but you do need someone behind the scenes to help you bring all of this together and hold the suppliers and the internal teams accountable to get to those outcomes.
Yeah, you have to create a plan, a technology plan. And sometimes you're working with operations because they're charged with efficiencies, right?
That's
and evolving. IT is there, but the budget comes out of marketing.
A lot of times.
Marketing's responsible for the customer conversation, right? And what that branding message is. So I feel like the entire solutions are no longer just a IT tech solution. It's by committee.
Well, and if you're not thinking of it that way, then what we see, right, are these overlapping systems that don't talk to each other, right? And you can't get to the outcomes you're looking for. So, if marketing is using Salesforce and Marketing Cloud and to track everything, but you've got your customer care team, using HubSpot, and then you've got your tech support team using Zendesk, how are you going to measure what the overall satisfaction is and what those are impacting each other? So I do think that organizations are taking a better look at, how do we holistically, solve problems with technology solutions that can cross segments in the organization. But there's journeys there, right? You can have something that brings it all together in the meantime. But to your point, like the the decisions aren't anymore typically by department, right? These are more committee
Right.
decisions for the company and what platforms we're going to invest in.
Yeah, and I think that people are purchasing differently, which they need to. You know, the way phone systems and platforms were purchased in the past, I think it is evolving.
Yep.
You have to take bigger things into consideration.
Absolutely.
You know, phone systems are not just a phone call and a voicemail. It's so
They're
much
not.
more, right?
Yep.
So I think that you mentioned data and analytics. That's so crucial. In fact, we're doing during Tech Week,
Yeah.
which is September 15, that week, we are doing an event on September 16th. So we'll put a link in
That'd be great.
when this podcast airs. We'll put a link in because we only have so many spots.
That's right.
But we're bringing in Roberta McCarter from Novus Data Journeys, and she's going to talk about data and analytics and how important that is. And then we also have Amir from Ring Central, and he's going to be talking about, you know, Ring Central is just leading the UCAS space, and that's just critical with automation products.
Yep.
And you know, when we think about the different platforms and the integrations, you've got to look at those data and analytics. So I think that that's an area that customers need to get better at because they may not have the tools or the people to really dive into that and really say, what are we seeing? Because what that data is going to do is allow you to make the choices that increase revenue or decrease expense, right? And we can now tap into labor rates. Like if we can make some automation on the contact center side, and now you don't need as many contact center agents, that's an area that traditionally with our expense management, we haven't tapped into, but now we have that ability. Any thoughts on that? What I just unpacked?
Yeah, yes, it's a great topic. Bots and analytics are both close to my heart. I do think it's interesting. I'll say since I've been here in the past 30 days, a lot of the questions that I've been getting now as a supplier neutral conversation around those are really about, you know, how to use these products to drive human connection, add more value to humans, right? And also the sustainability behind the AI products that they're purchasing. And, you know, I think those are really fun questions to get to ask suppliers when vetting those topics, because for me, you know, you think about yourself and engaging with self-service, right? As long as it works, I love it. If it doesn't, I'll never use it again, right? And so being able to make sure you get it right and get it right the first time is non-negotiable. And there are people out there to help you get that done, but it's definitely a journey. You know, I had an experience the other day at a fast food drive-through, which was fabulous with a bot. But which is funny because years ago when we had tried to deploy one for a pizza chain, it wasn't very successful because you think about the number of toppings, right, that can be offered. It's pretty open conversation, right, about what you can do with a pizza. But if you get to a pretty standard burgers and fries combination, it does work a little bit better. So I think, again, right, really opening up, how can you use this to make the experiences better and not just drive labor rates down? It's a combination of both.
Yeah. I just think the whole process of technology stack, what they're doing, how they're doing it, just the journey itself is evolving so quickly and changing. And that's where customers are needing help to say, geez, it's no longer which product should I use? What logo do I like? What price point? So many customers make a choice based on a price point. And it could be the wrong solution. And now how much money have you spent in human cost in deploying that wrong solution that now you have to go reevaluate and redeploy something else? So it's really, it's interesting how we help customers navigate all of that from, you know, even when you're thinking about a cloud platform in any form, you got to think about, well, what is that? What's your network like? Is your network stable? Have you done all the redundancies, which there's a lot of that has kind of evolved and happened, but it's nice to be able to look at the whole picture and have customers say, here's some of the areas to improve. And I love that about what we do. We don't, they can throw out one pain and go, yeah, we can handle that. And then we can just keep going and keep solving the issues. And I know that's new for you.
It is. As you were describing that, I had this analogy come in my mind, and it's funny because I'm always looking for non-sports analogies. As a sales leader, I don't play sports.
Me either.
I tried pickleball for the first time, and I'd say kind of a fan, but I'm not a rock star yet. But when you were walking through that, I thought about like if I go to the doctor, right, and I complain about a problem I'm having, right. He's going to ask me some questions to try to diagnose how to solve that problem, but he's still going to take my temperature, or she is going to, check in my vitals, or the person who comes in, the nurse, maybe they're going to, ask me some questions about how I'm feeling today and my mental health, right? And they're going to take all of that information, and then they're going to come up with a recommendation.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to say, I know you were complaining about your stomach and it really hurt, but we're really worried about your heart.
Yeah.
And you should focus there first, right? And so when you think about solving one problem in your organization, right? If you're only looking at that one problem and how to solve it, and you fix that problem, it could have effect on a whole lot of other things that while you solve that, now you caused other problems. So, as an organization, you really do have to look at the entire picture, right?
Yeah.
And before you come up with a solution, or the effects could be worse than the outcome.
Well, and I think that's one of the benefits working with Symplicity is the fact that, yes, at the end of the day, we sell products. I need to meet payroll. It's like it's just normal business, right? Yeah. But when you're working with maybe a service provider directly, their goal is, I've got a quota this month and I've got to sell.
Yeah.
So, you might not get the right product in front of you. They might not say that. Whereas we can really, I feel like our focus is on educating them so that they can feel empowered to make the right decision, instead of just, here's this shiny new object and here's the price and here's 3 quotes. And I love that we can take that step back and really kind of help them understand the why behind the purchase instead of just the purchase.
Well, and look, these people who are taking these invoices and POs and to have signed, that's a career move, right? And if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, let's be real, it's probably not. There's going to be things that go wrong every
technology.
Time. That's how this happens, right? Like there's going to be trip and falls, but that's why you have to have somebody to depend on and back up and call and say, oh my gosh, Erin, this is happening. Save me before this comes back on me.
Yeah.
And I'm the one in your back pocket to make sure that doesn't happen. And, I can think of so many of the clients and the contacts that I've worked with through the years who have made, career changing decisions that have been good and some not so good. Right. But at the end of the day, having a team behind you, it can make or break the outcome. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be part of that team.
Yeah. So what do you see for the next 6 months?
Oh, wow. 6 months seems so far.
I know, doesn't it though?
It does. Although time does fly when you're having fun. I think, 6 times what 30 days has been, right? Right. We think of what we've accomplished in 30 days to think we could do 6 times that is amazing. I think for me, in 6 months from now, I'm confident that I'll have a few of the people that I've worked with through the years excited about the problems I've solved for them, and us getting deeper into how I can continue to be part of their team internally to change the organization, and then be building out a team here at Symplicity who's excited to do the same thing. So I see nothing but, excitement, growth, not just for us, but for our customers and for those who are going to be our customers here soon.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the reasons that I was really interested in bringing you on was because, being a female in Grand Rapids area, you could come into the office, but also be involved in Inforum.
That's right.
Inforum is a group that I've been involved in since 2009, and their purpose is to help women lead and succeed. And I think we've already in these, first 30 days seen the value of those connections and, getting out into just out into the meetings and meeting them. And I love that you're able to take advantage of that and just get connected in.
Inforum has been fabulous, and no better way to start with Symplicity than going to the annual celebration right after I started and being able to hear, Carlos and Kimberly speak on stage, and the vision and the excitement that came from that still, runs through me today. And I'm feel just so honored to have a seat at this table and be part of this community. Just this week, actually yesterday and today, I have lunches with women from Inforum that, interestingly enough, and I'm proud enough to say that Nick set up for me, as he's a fabulous ally in the space and wants to give women an opportunity to learn and grow and empower each other. And I actually have a call with another member of Inforum today to get to know her. So those memberships and connections are flourishing. And it really is about, in those conversations, okay, how can I help you? And then vice versa. And then figuring out how to continue to make change in the world based on the things that we both offer into the world. So it really is just about mutual beneficial relationships. And that's where magical things happen.
That is very true. So when you're not having fun at Symplicity, so what kind of, what's your favorite way to unwind?
I love live music. And I will say, I'm proud to say that 3 years ago, if you would have asked me that question, you would have stumped me.
I work.
Yeah.
You just work.
Everything, work, mom, life, all of the things that came before knowing who I was as a person. And so a lot of things have changed for me in the past 3 years. And one of those is knowing what I like to do and what my hobbies are. And so I love live music. I also love to do some dance fitness, Cloud Groove, if you're familiar. And I'll be doing that tonight on the Blue Bridge at 6:30 with some ladies. And I just love music and moving my body and having fun and not caring a bit what anybody else thinks about it. So if you see me on a viral video one day, just don't send it to me. Just let me live in the moment, and I don't want to know.
It's so important to take care of ourselves. And I think that a lot of us, I know myself, hadn't put myself first for a lot of years. And I've kind of gone through this health journey the last couple of years, and I've lost 67 pounds, and just really trying to take care of myself and feel better and feel happy inside. And I think that's so important for us to stop and go, wait a minute.
That's right.
We have all these different roles, mother, friend, sister,
all of them,
daughter, all these roles. We still have ourselves. There's this role that we have that is just our private thoughts of do I want to read? Do I want to, have a Dove bar? What do I need? What do I need in the moment? Right.
Listening to our body.
Yeah. Listening to it. So it's cool that we're on that same journey. That was a real connection for us to be, connecting on that.
It was. Yeah. There's so much to be said there. And I'll say you can only provide as much to others as you're giving to yourself first. So everybody, if you're listening, just stop for a moment and figure out what you can do for yourself today. Because I promise that you'll be able to give more to others tomorrow if you stop and do that today.
Exactly. You have to, you can't be strong for others, right? If you're not taking care of yourself. But Erin, I am beyond thrilled to have you at Symplicity. Not only do you, just fit really well with the team, and you bring so much, energy and experience, but just as a person, I love having you, and I know we're going to do great things together. So thank you for taking a chance and coming over to Symplicity.
Thank you for seeing the opportunity and the fit and what I had to offer. And I can only think about, how, and we'll have to remember to do one in 6 months and do like a before and after of that question. I'll be interested to see, how it plays out.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And thank you for listening to Symplicity Conversations. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and visit us at thesimplepodcast.com. You're going to connect and learn about more inspiring leaders like Erin. See you next time.